So when I have the understanding and the awareness of where my body's at right now, but this is my priority, I have to be aware of that. Hey, I am thrilled to be back here again, thrilled to be here with you. I am so excited to talk a little bit about one of these questions that I hear over and over and over again of like, what happens when life doesn't go the way we want it to, right? Like, what if your cycle doesn't understand the assignment? I don't know if you've seen those little, what is it, reels going around where people are like, I understood the assignment, or the opposite of that, I just didn't understand the assignment. Well, what happens when your cycle doesn't understand the assignment? What if you have everything planned, everything all tracked out? This is the way my launch is going to go. This is the way I'm going to plan out my content. This is the way I'm going to plan out my social media. This is the way I'm going to structure my schedule. Maybe you have all of that really aligned and perfect, and then your cycle decides to do its own thing. What do we do then, right? And I want to show you today why using the cycle advantage methodology is a bit different than just using cycle syncing, right? If you're using just cycle syncing, when your cycle goes off and it does its own thing, really hard to pull yourself back. But when you're using the cycle advantage methodology and strategy, it pulls in a very different, unique way that allows you to adapt when those circumstances change. All right. So, confession moment. I am right now in the middle of the Cycle to Scale training, right? Getting ready to welcome in the next cohort of your Cycle Advantage members. And guess what? My body decided to do its own thing. It did not understand the assignment. And I actually shared, I think in day 2 or day 3 of the training, that I could feel my body starting to shift, and I could feel that energy starting to shift and change. And in my head, and what I was doing was like, body, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. Like, this is not the assignment. This is not where we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be shifting and changing already. Like, that doesn't match my calendar, right? And if you're watching the replay or listening to this on the podcast or anything, like, throw in the chat. Like, I would love to know if you've been in that situation where maybe you have everything mapped out and then your body decides to do something different. Your body says, hey, we're not going to actually stick to our 33-day schedule. We're going to actually have your period come on day 22 and throw you completely off in the middle of your launch, right? That's exactly what happened to my body. So I want you to know, if you're watching this and thinking, gosh, I've watched the last couple of days of training, I understand it. It makes sense. I see how this could work. But what happens if my cycle and my schedule don't match? What if I do everything and I try to match the cycle up and I try to do it all perfectly and things don't go the way I have planned? Then what, right? What happens when your cycle doesn't understand the assignment? So I want to show you today what those 3 big steps are and how using the cycle advantage methodology makes that different for you so that you can still incorporate and still use your cycle and use that strategy as a way to still go forward. So I'm going to pull up here. Oh, let's make it bigger. Okay. So here's what we're going to do, right? If you're listening to this on the podcast, you're going to want to either go to the website or Facebook or YouTube or somewhere to be able to see the video so you can see these slides if you're a visual person, but I'm going to talk through it as if it's not. So we're going to go here. What happens? Okay. So there's 3 big key steps that we're going to talk about when looking at how we actually leverage our cycle when our body doesn't understand what we're supposed to be doing, right? Like, our cognition, our planning, our proactiveness, everything's there, but our body says, I'm going to do its own thing. So step number 1 is that awareness, right? Awareness is step number 1 in our cycle advantage methodology. And what happens in this is that, 1, just the awareness, just knowing where you're at in your cycle is going to change the way you show up. Right? So asking yourself those questions, where is my body right now? Where my calendar says XYZ is what I'm supposed to be doing, but what does my body feel like? Where is my body actually? And just understanding that is going to give you immediate, actually, a shift in perspective, a shift in how you show up, a shift in the energy exertion, a shift in the expectations that you have of yourself. Just that alone. Yeah, I'm seeing a comment that awareness is key to everything in life. 100%. Awareness is going to make so much. Okay. Then having that moment of where awareness and checking in and saying, where is my body's energy level right now? Where is my body? So for me, yesterday was day one. And I sat there and was like, gosh, where is my body right now? My body's pretty exhausted. My body's pretty wiped out. Right. So looking at how my body's feeling, the next step is our goal check. Looking at the calendar, looking at those priorities, looking at those things that are coming. Right. This week, I am getting ready to welcome in the next cohort of your Cycle Advantage women. That is my priority. So when I have the understanding and the awareness of where my body's at right now, but this is my priority, I have to be aware of that, right? Like, even though right now is day one, day two, yesterday was day one, I could say I'm totally checking out from social media because that's what I'm supposed to do. But that is incongruent with what's on my schedule and where my calendar's at and what's a priority for me right now. I want to make sure that I'm still operating in integrity. I'm still showing up and staying committed to the goals that I have. I'm still staying committed to you, right? I can't just do this training, be here, and then just ghost you. That wouldn't work, right? So you have to have that awareness of this is where my body's at, but this is a goal I've set. This is a priority I have. This is what my calendar looks like. This is where things are. Are they incongruent right now? 100%. So then the last step in this is adaptation. How do we match that back together? How do we take where your body's at, the goals and the calendar and the schedule, the priorities that you have right now, and how do we merge those together so that you can show up in a really authentic way? How can we delegate something, remove something from your schedule, shift things, modify things, right? The goal is to still stay in integrity. But when we are staying in integrity, how do we do that in a way that honors where your body's at? One of the big things that I feel like I run into all the time is in working with women. They're like, gosh, my energy is just not there. I don't have the energy. Right. And even yesterday, that was where I was at. My body felt like there was no energy, didn't have it in me. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself that question of not just the awareness of my body doesn't have the energy right now, but the question of how can I create the energy? What does my body need right now to feel really good, right? If I want to meet the demands of my goals and my priorities and my schedule, and my body's incongruent with that, what does my body need to help me rise to that occasion? You have so much more power over your body than you probably give yourself credit for. Most of the time, we're just going and we're just pushing and we're shoving and we're go, 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 go without that reflection of what does my body actually need. There are some key things you can do to help rise that energy, help you feel really good and honor where your body is at and help it, support it so that it can rise to the occasion for the goals that it has set. So, for example, I turned off my alarm this morning. I'm pretty good about setting a regular alarm, and I try to keep that regular alarm time throughout the week and on the weekends because that helps my body with that biological rhythm of waking up. So I'm pretty consistent with trying to keep a steady schedule, rhythm, wake up time on the weekends and the weekdays. But knowing where my body's at right now, I let myself sleep in. So I turned off the alarm this morning. And then when I woke up this morning, I allowed myself a really slow, easy morning. I didn't hit the ground running and grinding. We hung out around the house. It is right now, what, almost noon? And I've done nothing around the house. Luca and I played chess probably 5 times. Like, I'm done playing chess today. I don't want to play chess anymore. I played chess. I did yoga. I focused in on what does my body need to feel revitalized and supported and encouraged right now so that I can show up for you. How can I show up for those women that are going to join into your Cycle Advantage when the doors open tomorrow? How can I show up in my best authentic self for them? And for me, that was doing a restorative yoga session this morning, feeling really empowered, creating space, letting go of my mind, right? And while I know firmly, I've shared with you that my recommendation is to stay off social media for the first 3 days, in the middle of this training and in the middle of me opening the doors, that's not possible for me. So then the question becomes, how can I set boundaries? How can I ensure that I'm showing up for you and I'm still there, I'm still connected, still answering questions, still making sure people are getting their journals and their ahas and things like that? How can I still show up, but in a way that's respecting and honoring where my body's at? And that comes in the form of boundaries. What are the boundaries you're setting to honor and support your body where you're at? So for me, I'm being very careful about getting on, sharing, posting, responding, but I'm not scrolling. Because by me not scrolling and looking at everybody else, it allows me to tap into exactly what I need, right? Going back to in that recharge phase, your recharge phase is you being able to tap into your deepest, truest self. So if I'm clouding that with everybody else's posts and things like that on social media, I'm not going to know what I need to share with you this week. And to be fully transparent and truly honest with you, confession time, I almost am sure that it was the universe's way of my cycle coming in 10 days early, which is not normal. I don't usually go 10 days early, so that I could have this moment with you. This might be the conversation you needed to hear to know it's possible for you, because it is possible, right? If you just take the cycle syncing framework, like those 4 phases, and try to impose them in your life, it may not work. I mean, I'm sure you're going to have some benefits, but even I've talked to other people that use cycle syncing, and they've talked about if your cycles are irregular, your hormones are off, or things like that, you don't really get to use cycle syncing. But I disagree. I think cycle syncing in the true sense of only looking at your hormones and only looking at how your body works, yes, for sure. You can't do that. But if you take the way that we take the cycle syncing and merge it into the cycle advantage and how we adapt for those things, right? Oh, go back. So how we have the awareness of where your body's at, honoring your goals and priorities, and adapting so that we can meet those demands, 100% it's possible for you. Just looks different, right? Life is going to throw you curveballs, 100%. So how do you adapt to those curveballs? How do you adapt? How do you, what flexibility do you have when things don't go the way you're planned? You can have the best time blocked, structured, organized calendar, and then something comes in and completely derails it. So how do you respond when that happens? Do you have sort of a framework of in your head how you do this, where you have that awareness? How can I still meet my demands and adapt to make sure that my body is feeling good? Or is it when the shit hits the fan, everything goes out the window, right? True, honest. There's that sense of feeling. When things don't go awry or the way you want them, everything goes awry, things derail your plan, then what? Planning is one component. Being that proactive participant, planning out your launches, planning out your social media, planning everything out is one huge component. But what happens when life and your body and your cycle don't understand that assignment and things go incongruent to that? Then what? How do you adapt? Yeah, I'm seeing checkers 3 times in a row over here. Must be that morning. It must be that kind of day. Does this make sense? Do you feel like right now, where you're at in your current season, you have the flexibility and adaptability? Because we've just gone through the 3 days of the cycle to scale, and I've showed you how powerful your cycle can be, how it really can help you operate at your optimum, help you know exactly when to do things so that you are able to attract more clients and more revenue. How you can map out social media content for an entire month and have it done in 1 week and be good every day throughout the rest of the month. I've showed you and told you how you can do that, how you can connect in more authentic ways by using your cycle to know when you're more primed to connect. But what if it doesn't go the textbook way, right? You are unique. Your business is unique. Your life is unique. You don't need a textbook system. You need a system that's going to adapt with you, then teach you how to have that flexibility and the mindset shift to know like, okay, cool, this is where I'm at. Not quite what I wanted, not quite what I planned, not really. Oh, I'm trying to bring my mouse back over on the other screen. Not quite what I had in mind, but we're going to go with it, right? So I would love if you're watching the replay to share like true, honest moment on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you feel right now in terms of adaptability and flexibility? When things don't go the way you have planned, how well do you adapt to that? How well do you have that flexibility? And then I want you to take in the next question is on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you feel like you stay in integrity with what you've said you're going to do, with the goals you've set, the commitments you've made? Do you feel like you give up on those commitments when your body is not feeling it, the energy's not there, you let go of them? And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how well are you aware of what's actually happening with your body? How aware are you of the energy levels your body has, where it's at in your cycle, what fuel you've been giving it, and how that's responding, right? What you eat makes a huge difference in how your body feels. Honest truth. How much water you're drinking. I mean, I got my cup of coffee right here. Coffee is not the best thing for your body. I will firmly admit it. And I will firmly admit that I drink it still every single day. But I know that it's not great for my body, right? So, how much awareness do you have around where your body's at? So, whether or not you're watching the replay, you're on live with me, you're listening to the podcast, wherever, jot it down. You can post it in the comments. You can jot it down for yourself. Where are you in relation to these three components? Your awareness, your integrity, and your adaptability. And then I want you to ask yourself, what do I need to move it just a few more points? Like, right? If you're at a 6, how can I get it to an 8? What do I need to do to actually stay in integrity with the commitments I've made? How can I move that forward just a teeny bit? What do I need to do to actually be more aware of what my body's feeling? How can I be a little bit more adaptable? What do I need to adapt and have a little bit more flexibility in my life? All three of this, like this question is all going back to the awareness, right? So you could even say, I'm boosting my awareness right now just by doing this activity. But have that true, honest moment and check in with yourself. Yeah, I'm seeing not very feel guilty when I can't focus into tasks, right? Then the guilt comes in and the shame and the frustration, and it completely derails even more so. So when you're maybe trying to adapt or you're trying to stay in integrity with your goals, all of those things, and then the guilt sets in and derails you even more. So part of that adaptability is looking at, do I have the mindset skills to pull me back out of that? Do I have the resources and the tools in my head to say, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back this way. I'm going to focus on this and I can make this shift. Maybe it's, I need to get up from my computer and walk away right now. I need to take a break from my goal right now and move on to this next thing so that I can come back to my goal. But our head sometimes gets us stuck in this thing of, I don't have the energy. I just can't do it. I don't have the focus. Therefore, I can't do it. I don't have the time. Therefore, I can't do it. And I want to challenge you to start asking different questions. I want to challenge you to start asking the questions that are actually setting you up for these three components. If you want more adaptability, start asking yourself, how, when I get to that moment, when I feel like I don't have enough time, instead of saying I don't have enough time, you ask yourself, how can I create more time? If you sit there and say, I don't have the energy right now, how can I create more energy right now? What does my body need to feel like it has more energy? Do you feel that subtle difference? It's not huge. It's not significant, but the way you ask your questions and the way your mind works will change everything about the way you show up. It will change everything. When you start to feel that seed of guilt and doubt creep in, right? It's telling you like, oh, you didn't stay committed to your goals this week. You couldn't focus. There you go again, right? Been there. And I will say, actually, this round of the Cycle to Scale training that we've done, I've had a lot of you tell me that you've been diagnosed with ADHD or you have ADHD-like symptoms. And regardless if you've been diagnosed or not, I'm not like talking about that specifically, but if you feel like that, if you feel like some days I have these ADHD-like tendencies, my brain can't focus, it can't sit still, it can't get out what I need to get out, I can't stay on one task, right? I have a million different tabs open. I would challenge you to look at, is it truly that you have ADHD or are you owning up to that? Or are you leaning into that? Or could you say, okay, my brain right now feels like it's going a million different places at one time. How can I get it to focus? What does my body and my brain need to focus on the task I have in front of me? And oftentimes I will tell you that having worked with a lot of kids that have ADHD, right, as a therapist, and I worked at the Children's Hospital, that's what I did a lot. The research shows that movement helps kids with ADHD, helps them focus. So if right now, when you're focusing on a task in social media or whatever you're doing and you're sitting down staring at the screen for hours, not getting up, not moving, not doing something, it's no wonder your brain can't focus, right? I can't do that. I don't even have ADHD. My brain does go all over all the time, right? I am sometimes one of those, I have to use tools and strategies to keep my brain to focus, but I can't sit and stare at the screen for hours. And I feel like right now, as I've gone on this tangent, I'm like sitting here thinking, same thing, right? Like my brain can't focus. My brain sometimes goes to a million different things in a million different ways. It's okay. It's okay. So I think that's it. I'll rein it in, bring it back. So that's it. That's all I want to talk about. It's kind of like going back to that idea of the awareness, checking your priorities, checking your goals. Are you staying in integrity with those, and adaptation? So I want you to scale yourself on those, post it, share it, have it, track it, right? And then start asking yourself, what can I do to move forward just a little bit? Okay. And I think that's it. Have a great day, guys.